All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, June 5th. We got ourselves a 13-game MLB slate, including a doubleheader to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling myself. If that does interest you, if you do want to fade me, all that free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Speaking of fading me, right? Yesterday, not exactly the best day. We go 1-3. I think we deserve a little bit of a womp there. Clark Schmidt, probably my favorite play of the day, only has one walk. The Rays team total over does hit, but it was juiced at -160. Mariners team total doesn't come through, and then the Dodgers do not come through there. So, yeah, we follow up a 10-1 night 2 nights ago. You know I had to mention that. With a 1-3 night, give a little bit back, unfortunately. But what I can't say is unfortunate is the ride of the day streak here from my man Kool-Aid, pumping some crowd noise. Pavetta has 5 strikeouts. Merrill Kelly, I believe, finished with 8 strikeouts, hitting his parlay 4+ money. You can see the tracker is updated here, link down in the pinned comment. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, you're looking at this like, what the heck is that? It's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your play. So looking forward to seeing what Kool-Aid throws at us today. If you lose, you still do get the shout out, but you got to face the womp womp on the soundboard. And yeah, Kool-Aid's looking for his 3rd win in a row here. Now, though we are riding with someone already, we get this question a lot. Well, what's the point of dropping my ride of the day in the comments? 1, you got to heat up, don't you, for when your time is called? And 2, you're still helping out a lot of other people browsing for plays down in the comments. So go ahead and help out the community and drop your plays down below. But Kool-Aid, looking forward to seeing what you toss at us today. Let's go ahead and dive into this slate. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, 1-3 nights stinks, but like I've been telling you, it's the nature of the beast. We're going to have some really bad days in this industry, but we picked it. We can't complain, right? Let's go ahead and dive into game number 1 here. Atlanta taking on Arizona. Arizona pulls out another one yesterday. Today we have Brandon Stott on the mound going up against Grant Holmes. I do think there's a massive starting pitching advantage. Grant Holmes, especially at home, should be able to do pretty well. He's going to throw a lot of the slider too, which I like in this case because that's one of the few pitches Arizona has been struggling against just a little bit. So I'll take Atlanta in this spot. -142 does seem like a heavy price tag, I will say that. But ultimately, they had a chance to win yesterday, right? Sale didn't even pitch all that poorly, and they still lost. So at some point, I think they avoid the sweep here. Arizona's bullpen, not exactly in the worst shape, but a couple guys went yesterday. Double checking Atlanta's bullpen too, because I believe they pitched a few guys yesterday too, but nobody on consecutive days. Give me Atlanta on the money line. In terms of a total, I guess I would lean towards the over. Even though I'm giving Grant Holmes credit and all that, it's like, this is still a very good Arizona team, and I think Atlanta wins this one, right? You throw in Grant Holmes' numbers against the current Diamondbacks roster, not all that great. So maybe this is like a 5-4 win, 6-5 type of a game potentially. So I'm going to lean slightly towards the over. All right, game number 1 here of a doubleheader. We have St. Louis and Kansas City. This is the pitching matchup that we expected yesterday, Michaelis versus Noah Cameron. I think I will lean towards kind of switching up some of what I thought, keeping some of what I thought from yesterday. I don't mind the idea of Noah Cameron pitching well against this team. Miles Michaelis, the more, even after yesterday's video, looking more into some of his advanced numbers, I really don't see how he's been successful. And he's not having a crazy good year, but he's been doing pretty well, but he's been getting out of some jams. I don't like that if I'm rolling with that side. So I don't mind the idea of Noah Cameron pitching well today. I also don't mind the idea of an under or a first 5 under. Like I said, Michaelis has been getting out of jams. I can give him credit there, right? So maybe he does it yet again today. But ultimately, some of the pitches that he throws, like, the sinker or like the curve, those are pitches that Kansas City hits well, so they could put up a decent number. Probably more comfortable with a plus money Kansas City money line than I am with the under. And honestly, the good thing about a doubleheader is we could take Kansas City 2 times in a row, right? For plus money on each side. I think they're plus 105 with Reagan's on the back half. If they just win one of those, it is profitable, and I think that they can. So we rarely implement that strategy, but we might be doing it today. So taking Kansas City on the money line for both. In terms of a total, like I said, first 5 under. All right, White Sox taking on Detroit. Sean Burke on the mound here for the White Sox, going up against Casey Mize. Mize has been pretty good, but don't look now, so is Sean Burke. Over his last 5 starts, now it's been against Texas, Chicago, Miami, Kansas City, and Milwaukee, just before Milwaukee got really good, right? So only Chicago in there was the good offense that he saw, and they hit him. But over his last 5 starts, 1.6 ERA, innings pitched, pitching into the 6th inning. This is the Sean Burke that I thought we were rolling with at the beginning of the year, right? So I do think for the money, it's Chicago or nothing for me in this spot. But like I kind of told you already, I think Chicago did their damage in this series. They already won 1 game. Would not shock me if you asked me before or told me before the series that Chicago wins 1, the Tigers win 3. So yeah, I think Casey Mize is good enough to keep it going. But I think I like the idea of an under. You have Sean Burke, who I'm kind of trusting to pitch well here against this White Sox squad. If his slider and fastball are working, I really do like it. Those are not the best pitches for this, this Tigers team. And then throw in the fact that the White Sox offense stinks out loud. You have Casey Mize, who has been pitching fairly well. He should be able to suppress them. So maybe a first 5 under look here in this spot. You can get first 5 under 5 for, looks like minus 150. I don't really mind that. Or under 4.5 for minus 115. That might even be the move, because that is 35 cents of value there in that half run. Yeah, maybe that's a spot, or maybe we split like a unit between the two. But I do like the idea of Sean Burke at least giving us something. Now, we've been wrong about Sean Burke plenty this year, because that's the guy that I was kind of high on, and he's let us down a few times. But today I'm putting a little bit of trust in his hands. So again, for the money, I would only look at Chicago on the money line. Don't think I'm going to get there. But where I do think that we can actually find some value would truly be taking a peek at that first 5 under, because now it's almost saying like, well, we're backing the reason that we want to back them, right? Sean Burke, because I think that he can, allow maybe 2 runs through the first 5. We get that. We don't have to worry about their offense. If their offense stinks, then great. It's even better for the first 5. So hopefully that makes sense. Real quick, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. We got the NBA Finals game numero uno tonight, and they're dropping a Tyrese Halliburton free pick there. 0.5 points for Tyrese Halliburton. You're also going to get your first deposit matched up to $100. And I anticipate, maybe not, maybe Little Bird told me there's going to be a bunch of other promos on the app for the game. So go ahead and check out Sleeper, guys. Link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. If you like player props, you think that you have a good sense of who's going to perform in this series or this game, go check out Sleeper. Again, you get the Halliburton square. That's just going to boost your payout when you throw it into one of your slips, right? But you're also going to get your first deposit match. You hand them a hundo, they're going to give you a hundo back. You have a new account balance of $200. It's an absolute no-brainer. This is their OG offering that they were using years ago when they were getting out all those signups and whatnot, right? So go take advantage of it. I don't know how long it lasts, but check it out. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment, or just use code GUYBOSTON when signing up. All right, Toronto taking on Philadelphia. I feel like I may be missing something here, but it looks like, Philly's lineup is relatively good to go, right? I like Philadelphia in this spot, especially coming off of a loss yesterday, 2-1. I think we get a little creative here. I think that we look at Philly, team total over 3.5 for like half a unit, maybe another half unit on them on the money line. Now, Chris Bassett is on the mound against Jesus Luzardo. I will give you that Chris Bassett's been very good this year, and Jesus Luzardo's coming off of a game in which he pitched 3 1/3, 12 hits, 12 earned run, 2 home runs. So yeah, he obviously has stunk. But realistically, Chris Bassett has 2 starts in a row that he hasn't looked all that great. 4 innings pitched, 5 earned against Tampa Bay. Toronto, when he was back at home, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, right? 7 hits on that. I think it was 2 home runs as well against the A's. So I do think that there's a spot here for Philadelphia to get to Bassett, who, like I said, has been good, but against lefties, which, again, you have Harper, you have Stott, you have Schwarber, you have a few guys, Marsh, I guess you could throw in there, even though I don't know if he's the biggest of threats, but you do have lefties in there that could change the game with one swing of the bat, especially like Schwarber and Harper, right? that he doesn't pitch well against. He's got a 1.64 WOBA WHIP against lefties this year. An average against of 321. So this is a spot in which I do think that we could see some runs from the Phillies. He's going to throw a lot of sinkers. Okay, well, Schwarber is one of the best hitters of the sinker on the Phillies squad, right? We're going to see a lot of cutters out of him. Well, that's great. Bryce Harper and Schwarber hit the cutter as well. Schwarber also hits the changeup pretty well, as does Bryce Harper. So his pitch mix kind of looks like it's the type of pitch, I guess you could say, in which we're seeing those lefties actually perform well. So yeah, I think the Philadelphia Phillies could get some hits today, could put some runs in. I would also say over, because Jesus Luzardo struggles against righties. So everything that I'm saying about this, Chris Bassett side with the lefty-righty splits, I will give you Jesus Luzardo kind of struggles against righties, but he's been fantastic on the road this year. And realistically, he's been fantastic overall outside of that, collapse of a start. So if you do like Toronto, I get it. I just think that the Philadelphia Phillies are a little bit more consistent. Like Bo Bichette and Springer have been kind of meh against lefties this year, right? Whereas when I talked about Harper, when I talk about Schwarber, like they've been good against righties. So taking some of the bigger bats in the lineup, I do think Phillies have an advantage. Bullpen, Toronto probably has an advantage, but I still do think Philadelphia can score some runs. So I'll take their over 3.5 as well as them on the money line here today. But like I said, in terms of if I had to just pick that total sitting at 8.5 right now, I don't, and I think there's some 8s out there if I remember correctly, maybe not. But overall, I do think that there is right now over on FanDuel 8 for minus 110. So I don't mind that either. I think that there's a chance that both these offenses kind of fit like a glove against these pitchers. All right, A's taking on the Twins. I don't think the Twins are worth the price they're at right now. Now, I've seen Ober listed as a starter. I've also seen David Festa. Mitch Spence looks like he's the starter for the A's on that side of things. So I don't really know. I think there's too many question marks in this one. Spence has been in the bullpen so far this year. Obviously, he started in the past, and he's been all right. Can we give him that? You know what I mean? So I don't really want to sit here and rag on him. He does have some really bad numbers against his Minnesota team, but Minnesota 4-game sweep, that potential kind of worries me. And just given the fact that they're at, minus 180-ish, that seems a little bit crazy. So I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. The A's at some point have to win a baseball game, right? They have lost so many games in a row. They've even their one win, I think that comes in the middle of 12 losses, something like that. We can't trust them. I don't think I'm putting my hard-earned bread on them, but I also don't necessarily see a fast path to Minnesota here in this spot based on the price. In terms of the total, I would say an over, because I guess if the Athletics are going to win, they're probably going to score some runs. And I'm not sitting here thinking that Mitch Spence on the other end is going to be throwing an absolute gem, right? So give me the A's and the over, but I probably don't end up touching it myself today. Seattle taking on Baltimore, and I do think we're taking a team here to avoid the sweep. We have Baltimore, who has won 5-1 and then 3-2. I think Seattle might get it done today. Now, I'm pondering between money line for Seattle, which I do like, and I'll explain why in a second, as well as a first 5 under. My concern is that first 5 under, because the total is already down at 7.5, we're not exactly getting the best odds for, right? Minus 145 in this spot in which they've both done it already in this series, and throw in the fact that Eflin, so far this year in his away starts, 4 games, all 4 have gone over in the first 5. Now, I will admit, it's been a lot of the Baltimore Orioles scoring in the first 5, so not exactly his fault, right? Seattle, on the other hand, Brian Wu, 50-50 to this spot. So yes, I do kind of sit here and think, okay, maybe we just look at Seattle on the money line. The reason I like Seattle on the money line is I do have a little bit more trust in Brian Wu than Zach Eflin. In terms of their season numbers, fairly comparable, but Brian Wu, I do not think is getting the credit that he deserves in terms of his numbers. And even using our dashboard, which I'll show you how to get access to this dashboard dirt cheap in just a second, okay? But you can see here, really good numbers against righties, decent against lefties. I will say there's a lot of lefties in this lineup that would be the worrisome lefties, but I guess there's not many guys in the Orioles lineup in general that worry us, right? What we do have to worry about is the Seattle lineup. But anyways, let me just get to the pitch mix here. Fastball. Okay, well, Baltimore's just 23rd in terms of runs above average over the last 30 days. We'll get to the sinker. Okay, well, they're 3rd worst in the entire league. The slider, bottom 10, right? Even the changeup, he's going to pitch just 8.9% of the time. Sure, that's what Baltimore will hit. But looking at that, you can see here, it's kind of spotty in terms of the players, 50-50 percentage of guys that actually hit the changeup well. Now, if we look over here at Eflin and we look at him on the road, okay, he's got a good whip, but the FIP's not good. The K rate's not all that great, right? Against righty bats, not all that great. Lefty's kind of, wishy-washy. He throws a ton of pitches. I get it, but he's getting a lot of contact on these pitches. A swing and miss rate at just 8.7%. So though these guys are struggling, if we put the ball in play, we might be able to see some runs today. And even if we don't, I could see a 4-2 win for Seattle or something like that, kind of on the back of Brian Wu. So yeah, go Woo. Woohoo. I think we have a Seattle spot today to like. And like I said, in terms of a total, I do like a low-scoring game. And getting access to the dashboard is super simple. GuyBostonSports.com. Head over to the members area, right? Now, if we want the MLB dashboard, we'll click MLB dashboard under that members area dropdown. I'm not logged in, so it'll be like what you guys see, right? You click view membership levels because you do need membership to access this. We have 3 things available right now. The all sports dashboard, you get every single sport dashboard that we have out. More coming soon, but right now we have the NBA and the MLB. The good thing about this, because you might be thinking, well, the NBA is about to end. Why do I need it? Whatever price you get in at, if you keep that subscription active, so come football season and all that, this will remain the same. And we do plan to up it because we have a really cool NFL dashboard coming for the season. So that's kind of the reason we leave that available. But if you just want NBA, $2.99 per month. And if you just want MLB, $4.99 per month there. If you are logged in, we'll set this to a logged in view so that we can kind of show you what you'll see once you're in there. Again, members, MLB dashboard, and you'll see you get the dashboard here. You can open it up. You can just view it on the screen, but if you want to zoom, if you want to print it, if you want to download it, it's all here. Each and every game broken out in a visual format. Pitcher data, batting data, bullpen data, per player batting data. We have some, trends with the teams up here. So really cool stuff, and you see a lot of blank white space. More to come on this stuff. So check it out, guys. Again, GuyBostonSports.com. Consider becoming a member. All right, San Francisco taking on San Diego. This has been a weird series so far. Game number 1, 1-0 win for San Diego, 3-2 win in game number 2 for them. And then San Fran bounces back yesterday, but they kind of got to the bullpen too, right? It wasn't like Pivetta. I guess Pivetta, earned 4 earned runs, so I guess most of the runs came against him. But regardless, they win 6-5. A weird sort of it's a difference in terms of what we've seen recently. I do think that this could still be a low-scoring game. I kind of am afraid of San Francisco's offense. I will say that. They're very good at home. They have been good at home. So ultimately, that could keep me off it in some way, shape, or form, right? If I'm being honest there. But ultimately, I kind of like the idea. I wanted to go first 500, but this is very low scoring. I kind of like the idea, and maybe we could find it. I don't have it up in front of me, but kind of like, even I know DraftKings offers it, but like a race to X runs. We could do like a race to 6 runs neither, meaning I don't think either team is going to score 6 runs. I don't know what we'll get for odds, or maybe if DraftKings is the place to do that, or if another book is. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that, because we do have, 2 decent bullpens, albeit they are pretty taxed. So that kind of worries me. I understand, but still, against 2 offenses that if San Diego's not the offense I worry about here, it's San Francisco, and that's telling. You know what I mean? It's like the guys that are building the roster that is built with some of these names like Tatis and all that doesn't become the offense that I'm worried about. It makes me feel a little bit better, right? Like I'm worried about Yaz or Ramos, Hooley, that type of thing. Dylan Cease is on the mound. We haven't even mentioned it. I think that he is in for a nice little bounce back spot. I mean, he's been really consistent, but it's about time that he kind of gets going. And Robbie Ray has been fantastic. So yeah, if I could find like a race to X runs, maybe that's a spot. And again, bullpens are taxed. So if you're sitting there being like, that's a little risky because of the bullpens, I get it. But I honestly kind of think that might be why we're getting, I guess we should say why we're getting a decent line. You know what I mean? So yeah, that might be a spot that we look at. Even if we just pay some juice, I think that could be a little crafty. So in terms of a total, for the plus money, I would say San Diego. I think, again, Dylan Cease could have a decent game, but I don't really want to fade Robbie Ray right now. The guy's been really good. In terms of a player prop, I do think I'm getting a little crazy here. I like Jung-Hoo Lee under his 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Like I said, it's a little bit crazy, and I understand it. But what I do like about it is the fact that he's going to get pretty much slider fastball from Cease. And those are not the pitches that he hits well. So, yeah, this guy's good. Yes, the San Fran offense could be back. I get it. But if I think this is still going to be somewhat of a low-scoring game, I don't necessarily mind the spot of picking out a guy that you're getting some good odds on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, maybe he gets a hit today, but does he get the RBI? Does he come in for a run? We shall see. This is probably something that we're looking at like a half unit wise because, again, I can kind of talk myself out of it. Just kind of talk myself out of it with the idea of, well, the Giants offense is a lot better at home, including Jung Ho Lee, right? So maybe that's something that, instead of talking us off of it, maybe it talks us from like a full unit down to a half unit, which I think might be smart. But yeah, keep an eye on the final plays for that. I think that's got a good chance of going in, but also that race to X runs, we maybe get a little crafty there. Dodgers taking on the Mets. We have Knack on the mound against David Peterson. It's a tough one because I always like the Dodgers, it seems, in bounce back spots, right? And they lose yesterday 6-, what they end up scoring yesterday? I think it was like 6-1. So, I mean, you're asking for a bounce back here at home, right? And a chance to tie the series with the Mets. So, yeah, Knack isn't exactly the guy that I want to sit here and back all day long. I will totally admit that. But this offense is, right? And I do think that, David Peterson, as good as he is, we could see a little bit of ruffled feathers here against the Dodgers. I mean, let's talk about it just for a real quick second. We've already seen it this year, and he pitched pretty well. That was a little bit over a week ago, right? Maybe, a week and a half. Meaning the Dodgers just saw him. If we look at David Peterson and his career against the current makeup of this Dodgers roster, 127 plate appearances against, so a decent amount, right? 18% K rate, 6% walk rate, average against of 360, WOBA of 430, an expected WOBA of 389, expected slugging 530, expected batting average against 315. Knack isn't great. I don't want to sit here and act like he is great. This is either an over, set it and forget it type of thing, bet it and forget it, or just saying, screw it, I think that we have a Dodgers bounce back spot on our hands. In terms of what we have from bullpens, the Mets bullpen, they really didn't use many guys yesterday, but prior to that got a lot of work. So I'd still be a little concerned with that. Whereas I do think that this is a Dodger spot where they rested a few guys and could be good to go. The problem with them is always going to be the fact that their entire, bullpen, and honestly, some guys that should be starting are a bunch of injured guys too. So it's not like even their bullpen in general has the leverage it needs, right? So yeah, I think it's Dodgers. Don't mind the idea of an over, but honestly, if the Dodgers go out there and put up a big number, I'm not going to complain about it. We can get minus 119 right now for the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Doesn't that just seem like it's a little too low to pass up? Even though it's Knack on the mound, who, again, I don't really want to put much trust in, but he hasn't been bad as of late. He pitched well against the Yankees, and he also pitched well against that Mets team in that same series against David Peterson. So, yeah, Dodgers in the over. Pittsburgh taking on Houston. This isn't necessarily a game that I'm loving right now. Valdez on the bump going up against Mitch Keller. What I kind of want to get to is a first 5 under, right? Which makes sense. We've seen really low-scoring games out of both of these teams for quite some time now. I guess my concern is that are we going to start to see this Astros offense piece things together, right? Like, they are at an absolute lull right now. Last 6 games, 2-2, 3-1, 3-0 runs scored. This offense is better than that, you know what I mean? And it seems like it would just take a Mitch Keller, who is good, but easily could come in here and just start humming slider and fastball and not placing it well for them to kind of get back on track. They do hit righties pretty well, but even if they hit him okay, Framber Valdez may be able to go out there and hold his own, right? So I think I am going to take a peek at that first 5 under. We obviously see a low total in general. That's kind of reassuring to some degree, because even for the first 5 with a total of 7.5, you can get a decent number right now. I think it's at minus 145. So if we can still snag that, that might be something that we start to consider. So yeah, first 5 under in this one. I do believe that this Houston offense is going to at some point kind of piece things together. So I guess I lean towards them on the money line, maybe even just first 5 money line. You can get a decent number there overall. So yeah, first 5 under, and then first 5 for Houston. I don't mind taking it to the bullpens either, I will say that, but I also kind of like the idea of trusting Valdez against Keller just one-on-one, you know what I mean, versus bringing in some of the bullpen and that type of stuff. So yeah, give me them on the first 5 run line, but I think first 5 under might be something that we consider more. And it looks like player prop wise, we can probably take a peek at Ke'Bryan Hayes under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like the fact that he does struggle against the lefty, batting just 190 this year. And against that sinker, which is going to be the main pitch, looks like we should have a decent spot in which his WOBA drops down to 242. So yeah, I think this is going to be low scoring, that kind of fits with that as well. Probably like a half unit on that ultimately, because if we do like that first 5 under, this correlates. But if, we put too much out there, then what if we have this red all wrong, right? Then all of a sudden we're looking at a spot in which they kind of negatively impact us because both of them end up coming through. Like Brian Hayes hits a 3-run home run. It's like, well, we're well on our way to losing that first 5 under as well. So maybe just like tempering our expectations. Again, what it comes down to is being able to have a rational argument on the other side of things tempers what we should be putting on it in a sense. If it's a full blown, I can't even see the other side, that's full unit type of status. You know what I mean? And it doesn't always work like that. It's just kind of the way that I'm thinking about bringing this down to a half unit. And I mentioned that earlier in the video as well. All right, before we jump into this one, guys, go ahead and comment 25 if you made it this far into the video. And if you did, thank you so very much. We can't promise those 10-1 days all the time, right? Like you saw yesterday, 1-3. But what I can promise is I'm going to show up here each and every day and really grind my ass off, trying to make the best video, be entertaining, and really bring you guys the content, right? Because it's not always going to come down to the picks. Think about the industry that we're in. We can't be that great all the time. You know what I mean? In fact, we're going to be pretty bad a lot of the time too. So really do appreciate everyone hanging in with us and everything like that. But let's get into this one. Washington taking on Chicago. Pitching-wise, I'm still kind of waiting out to see what's going on here. I believe we're seeing Colin Ray listed as the primary. Pomeranz is the opener. On the other side of things, come on, we could speak, Ev, right? Looks like we're going to see Irvin. So based on what we're seeing there, I do think, Irvin has kind of struggled. I mean, doesn't have the best numbers against the Cubs either. You're getting the Cubs right now in a decent spot coming off of a loss, I would say. Kind of like them on the money line. Bullpen-wise, you never really want to trust this Washington bullpen in the first place, and Chicago's bullpen's good to go. Now, I say that, and I kind of got to, temper myself. We're saying temper a lot, huh? This is not exactly the best bullpen in the first place, right? So, yeah, get a little worrisome there. But I do think that the offense should be good enough here. So, give me the Cubs on the money line. In fact, what is their team total? Is it 4.5? If we can get, so right now they're minus 142 on the money line, right? Which seems like it's actually a decent price, minus 142 on DraftKings. It's like minus 150 on a lot of the other spots. But if we can beat that for their team total over, that's something that we would consider. So let's see if we can get that minus 142 beat. No, over 4.5 runs, minus 155. To put that into perspective, over 4.5 is plus money for Washington. So even just looking at the run line, they're telling you that this is a game in which the Cubs score 5, and it's unlikely that Washington, scores 5. So yeah, trust in Colin Ray, who has been someone not exactly worth trusting. I will admit that, but I think that this offense should be okay to start things off. So give me the Cubs on the money line there. Don't hate that, as well as an over, because this Washington team can score at home. They can. They're a good offense at home. All right, Max Fried going up against Slade Ciccone here. Max Fried, obviously the better pitcher, but Ciccone, even though he has a really small sample size under his belt here, has some really good numbers on the road. And I want to say that's because he only has I think he has 2 road starts in which he's looked pretty good, but he hasn't faced an offense like the Yanks, right? So, yeah, in this spot is probably Yankees, maybe as some sort of parlay piece or something like that. I think we have really good weather in New York as well, so maybe considering some player props on their side. In terms of what we're going to see, a lot of sliders, a lot of fastballs from Ciccone. That ain't exactly what we want to see, right? The one piece of sort of, keep an eye on this, and we talked about it yesterday. We didn't have the balls to pull the trigger ourselves, but a lot of lefties in this Cleveland lineup, right? We talked about Schmidt. He struggled with lefties. Max Fried kind of sneaky, and you can even see with our dashboard, kind of sneaky, greens it out across the board, right? What's going on with the lefties here? Now, the average against isn't there, but the strikeout numbers aren't there. The FIP isn't there. So, yeah, maybe there's an angle to get to Cleveland, or maybe we take a peek at an over, something like that, in which we now see, runs scored on both sides. So that's worth thinking about. I don't know if, again, it's something worth getting to and locking in, especially with a lot of other games on the board today. But just keep it in the back of your mind, I would say, that if Fried struggles against lefties, it's tough to find more lefties in a lineup than this Cleveland team, for certain. In terms of the total, like I said, maybe that gets us to an over, but I wouldn't mind the idea of a Yankees team total over, even if it is a pretty big number. All right, next up, we got Tampa Bay taking on Texas. Lighter on the mound for Texas, going up against Ryan Pepe Le Pew Pepio for this Tampa Bay team. He's looked good in his last 2 starts. 7 innings scoreless. 7 innings scoreless against Toronto. Then he went 6 2/3 scoreless against Houston. Those are both on the road. Now he's back at home. I will say his home numbers this year, not phenomenal, but Jack Leiter's road numbers aren't all that great either, right? And Jack Leiter, is coming off a really good start against St. Louis. So we do have 2 guys that may be finding their stride a little bit. Ultimately, where we'd go in this one is probably an over, though. I think that both these guys are due for a little bit of regression. The pitch mixes, I do think we could see some scoring here. I want to throw in the fact that it looks like there's going to be a little bit of rain, but there is wind blowing out, so maybe that counterbalances it. Yeah, I'm going to lean towards an over, as well as, I guess, the side. I would pick the home team, Pepe Le Pew. I think that he's got a little bit more oomph behind him. I do worry about the sweep, though, and I tell you guys that all the time. I'm not always inclined to be rolling with a sweep. You know what I mean? It just seems like it could be a little bit dicey. Very hard, especially for 2 teams that are fairly similar, to go in 3-game sweep the other one. All right, St. Louis taking on Kansas City, game number 2. And like I said, first off, this is Liberatore versus Cole Reagans. We're getting Kansas City on both sides for plus money. This might be a spot in which we say take them both. And that's like I have a couple different strategies for doubleheaders. First off, avoid them. That's maybe number 1 strategy. Another strategy, and I've talked about it on the show before, is if you think 2 teams are like 50-50, take the underdog in both games, as long as it's the same team. If like switches, then you could go wrong, right? But what I'm envisioning here is that the Royals do at least split this doubleheader. Could be wrong, obviously, right? But you're getting plus money on either side. Even if they win 1 game, you do make just a little bit of profit via those doubleheaders. So especially, again, when you have 2 teams that are fairly similar, like I do think the Royals and Cardinals, you can make good arguments on both sides. This could be a spot in which we take them plus 116 in game number 1, plus 110 in game number 2. If they win both, then great, we're looking grand. If they lose 1, win 1, there's still a little bit of profit there because of the plus money. So that's kind of how I would look at it. I guess with the pitchers on the mound here, I would lean towards another under, I guess. Liberatore's been decent. And when I say decent, he's actually been really, really good. But Cole Reagans I do like a lot as well. I think that he doesn't get the fair shake. So ultimately, I think we have 2 good pitchers, maybe an under in this spot as well. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Absolutely smash that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. And I really do appreciate it. I won't go on another rant. I know I did that kind of mid-video. Really, really do appreciate you guys. Don't take any of this for granted. I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.